Hi, this is the second time we've looked at a topic called color coding, and this time I actually kind of got ready in advance, so I don't think it's going to take me too long to present this lesson. We're going to build on what you know. Yesterday, or in a previous lesson, we took some sentences from Story 12, Capture, where Gator runs away and is unfortunately caught and sort of mistreated. We took some of the initial sentences from that story and we put color on the words. We use this as a way to analyze what's going on in the sentences. So I'm not going to drag this out. Let's talk about what we did quickly as a review, or for a review. We learned that we're going to put the color blue on first declension nouns. So whenever I see a first declension noun, looking down here, I see the word Gata. Gata has an AM on the back. When I look at my blue chart, I see that AM is part of my blue chart, so therefore Gata is a first declension or blue noun. I put blue on it, like so. I use the font instead of the highlight. It's prettier. And then whenever I see a second declension noun, for instance, Davos, I see the US on the back of it. I look over my orange chart. Yes, US is one of the endings in the orange or second declension, so I'm going to color Davos orange. We learned to do that in the previous lesson. We talked about putting yellow on verbs. Direction number 1, put yellow on the verbs, and we learned to look at verb endings to tell where the verbs are. So I know T is a verb ending, so I'm going to put yellow on protest. Now, I didn't include the personal endings of the verb down here in your information area. I guess I could do that. It doesn't hurt. Draw a box real quick. You know your personal endings for the verb. There are 6 of them. Won't hurt to do this. The first ending is O. Second ending is S, meaning you. Third ending is T or she. I like to put them in tandem rows. The fourth ending is mus. These are the plural ones. We is more than one person. Hyphen TIS is y'all, and hyphen NT is they. Let me move that. That's not a good job. Hyphen NT is they. Let's close it up. Those are the kind of things I'm looking for on verbs. They kind of give away where verbs are. So T right here tells me verb. T is one of my personal endings. I'm going with yellow on protest. Don't forget that RE, which indicates an infinitive, RE as an ending is also a verb. And I didn't point this out in the previous lesson, but you by now, after 12 stories, have figured this out. A lot of times the yellow words are located right next to the punctuation mark at the back of the sentence. So if I follow that rule, I'd be willing to bet before this period right here at the back of the sentence, I'd be willing to bet meet it is a verb. And of course, there's a letter on the back of that word telling you why it is. So we're building on what we know. So what do you want to talk about today, Mr. Darden? Well, if you look at the directions, the new thing here is in number 3 it says put red on prepositional phrases. That's new. Now we had a lesson probably a couple weeks ago about what prep phrases look like. Prep phrases always have words like in or under or to or from. These are Latin prepositions, and they're going to be followed by an object of the preposition. So that if you, for example, e.g. is an expression that means, or an abbreviation that means for example, e.g., for example, if you see sub arbore, sub is the preposition, arbore is the word that comes behind it, it's the object of the preposition, together they are a prep phrase. Or if you were to see even something like, I don't know, in agris, in is the preposition, agris is the object of the preposition, and they both go together as part of a prepositional phrase. So that's what's different about today's lesson. I want you to go find the red phrases. So just as an example, I'm looking around the first line. I see the word in. I know that's a preposition. I'm going to at least make the word behind it part of the prepositional phrase, because phrase means you got to have 2 words at least. So I'm going to put red on that. You know, if you thought about extending the prep phrase to the word alios, and putting all that in red. My complaint about that is there's a comma right here, and a comma, a punctuation mark, acts like a brick wall. So you have a situation that looks like this. You know, oleos is separated from hortune by a comma, so I'm not going to make oleos part of my prep phrase. I don't know what it's doing, but I'm going to leave it alone and go back and give it a neutral color. All right. Well, let's look at, this is going fast. I mean, let's look at the directions. It says put yellow on the verbs. We get that. For each italicized noun, every time you see an italicized word, let's go ahead and italicize some words. For each of the italicized words, I want you to tell me what color the word is, and I want you to tell me what its case is. Did I tell you to do that? Yeah, I said label the noun as either nominative, subject, or accusative, direct object. We'll look at that in a minute. If you see a word that's italicized, I want you to give me a color and a label. So, do we have any more in here? Yeah. Right there. Let's italicize it, and right here, let's italicize it. Whoops, that's not an italics. Let's get rid of the underline, and let's italicize it. And finally, Gaetan. Italicize. All right. So, every time you see an italicized noun, I want you to come down here, and I want you to put color on it, and I want you to put a label on it. See, put some kind of color and label each italicized noun as nominative, meaning subject, or accusative, meaning direct object. So I'm going to look at Davos. I got the color on it. What else does Mr. Darden want? He wants a label. Let's back it up. And over the word itself, we got to write some kind of label, if I can get the machine to back up for me. And can I do this? I don't know. I'm trying to make this cursor right here back up to Davos. There has to be a way to do this. I'm convinced. I know I can do this. So what do we do here? Hit return, come down here, come down to Nemo. I'm not having any luck getting this thing to back up. All right, now we're getting somewhere. There we go, Davos. Davos is orange. We know that already. It's got a US on it. So to find out whether I label it nominative or accusative, I'm going to go down to my orange chart and see where US is. Well, here it is. And it's on the level of the file cabinet that says subj or nominative. So that's my subject. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to write above Davos, I'm going to write a capital N, which stands for nominative or subject. But I'm too lazy to write all that out, so I'm going to stick with N dot. All right, so every noun that's italicized, give me a color, give me a label by looking at the chart. Finally, one thing I got to warn you about, it says label each italicized noun, blah, 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 right here. It says label some of these nouns as genitive or of. Let me tell you what you're looking for. You go to the genitive line, which is this of line right here. I'm going to write in genitive. Genitive is the fancy way of saying of. That's all it means, of. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to write genitive. Genitive of. Every time you see ARUM or ORUM, since those endings are on the of or genitive line, ARUM and ORUM, I want you to go back up to the color coding and write of above that word. Okay, I will tell you there are two of them in this exercise. Now, I think you've got enough to go on right now, so I'm going to stop. You work on this, you submit it to the Dropbox, and we'll talk about it when we get together. All right? Wale.